morning. I'm CA Nidhi Bhaskar. I'm a CA and an ACCA trainer. This video is going to give some sort of clarity to the SBL students of ACCA. Students who are looking for some answers on professional skills in the SBL exam. Professional skills. What are these skills? So simply speaking, people who are giving the SBL exam or people who have to give the SBL exam, they must know something about professional skills. What are these? SBL exam is for 100 marks. Out of these 100 marks, 80 marks are dedicated to your technical knowledge. But 20 marks, they are assigned for demonstrating professional skills. Now, these professional skills are divided under 5 categories here. 1, it tests your communication skill. 2, commercial acumen. 3, it tests your analysis. Then 4th, skepticism. And 5th, evaluation skills. These 5 are the skills, the professional skills, which the SBL exam is going to ask you to demonstrate. And then you will be awarded 20 marks on it. We will go into deeper understanding of all these 5 skills. But before that, let me clarify one simple point here. The SBL exam is going to ask you to demonstrate all 5 skills together, but not in the same part. That means you will be evaluated, you will be rated, you will be given marks on all 5 skills. But in one part, only one skill would be required to be demonstrated. So there will be subparts in the question. Each subpart will ask you to demonstrate one particular skill. But it is more likely that all 5 skills will be tested in the same examination paper. So be very prepared with that. Now let's just understand what are these 5 skills. What is the exact requirement from the students? What is the examiner expecting? So coming to the communication part, as you can see with my screen, looking into this communication box. So with communication, you need to express yourself in a very persuasive manner, convincing manner, putting up correct points, putting up the points which will actually make the other party agree to your point. Not forcefully convincing, persuading with good reasons. That is what communication will be required. The next part, which is more important, is using an appropriate medium. That means if the question asks you to prepare a letter, the format of the letter has to be used. The question may ask you to prepare a report, presentation slides, or a memo. Whatever is required, it has to be there in its particular format. That's the appropriate medium, appropriate format. So communication will cover using appropriate format as well. Coming to the next, it should cater to the needs of the intended audience. That means always remember to whom are you writing. If the other party can understand numbers, then give facts in terms of numbers, formulas, GP margin, net profit margin. But if the other person cannot understand that, the user cannot understand that, then avoid using such ratios, such financial numbers. That means you need to be careful on 3 grounds here. 1, you need to express yourself in a persuasive manner. Number 2, the correct medium has to be used. Number 3, you need to understand what is the use of the intended user, how he wants to use it. Try to fulfill his use. His intentions should be met with your document. Coming to the next skill, that is commercial acumen. Commercial acumen is simply you need to show the examiner that you understand the wider perspective of the business. Taking any decision may not impact only one part of the area, or one part of the organization, the business. It may impact it on a very big scale. Commercial acumen is showing that you understand this wider perspective. You understand what all impacts a business, what all internal and external factors are there which are impacting the business, and then accordingly go for resolving issues. Use your judgment in solving the problems based on the overall and wider perspective of the business. That's commercial acumen. Then coming to the third one, analysis. Now, analysis has to clearly investigate into any issue, that is analyzing, and then finally finding out an appropriate solution to that. So without analyzing, if you become a CEO and without analyzing the situation, if you start dictating the solutions, that is going to be very disastrous for the organization. This is what analysis skills will cover up. Then comes skepticism. So we, in a very simple language, say skepticism is not taking things on face value. That means you sometimes need to probe. You need to investigate, dig deeper into the facts which have been presented to you. So you will be given some information. Some information will come from this place, something from this place. You need to probe. You need to link the information so that the correctness can be established. That is being skeptical. Questioning facts. Questioning the claims of the people. Challenging the information. If somebody comes up and says, we are a part of the tourism sector, and next year after the pandemic, or even the pandemic is going on, I will double up the revenue. You need to probe. You need to question those facts. Tourism, doubling the revenue with the pandemic, quite doubtful, right? Then the last one, evaluation. So evaluation is absolutely assessing two proposals, two different options. Which option to be changed, which option to be taken up, which option to be chosen. And then this evaluation has to happen in a balanced way. Means you need to consider again the wider area. For example, if I say there is one project whose net present value is lower than the other one, but the other one whose net present value is higher, it is giving more environmental emissions, more CO2 emissions. So evaluation has to be considering a balanced view, balanced situations, and then take a call. That means here maybe the project which has got an NPV which is higher, the company may not choose that because of something else which is being destructed because of that proposal, the environmental emissions. That can be one of the cases, right? So evaluation has to be balanced. Now the next question comes up, how to demonstrate these skills. So you all understand now, by this, till this time now you understand that what are the professional skills, what is being expected. Now how do we fulfill that expectation? So these are some pointers which are going to come in front of you one by one so that you understand what is the actual requirement which the examiner is looking for. Point number one, address the requirements as written. So if the question asks you to give reasons of something, do not present facts. Reasons are the main point which the question is looking for, not the facts. But on the other side, when the question asks you to give a fact sheet, that means you only need to give the facts. No reasons, no recommendations, no background, nothing, just the facts, whatever has happened. So clearly understand what is the requirement of the question. What are they asking, right? If they just ask that please give the limitations of this proposal, then do not recommend that out of these two, it should be taken or it should not be taken. They are not asking you to recommend. They are just asking to give you the limitations of one particular project. Give the limitations, end it there and there. Then next, include the most important, relevant and crucial points. Your answer should not actually include irrelevant points. It's a basis everywhere, and that is one of the major pillars of professional writing. Write relevant points. Then avoid unsupported points. So unsupported points are with SBL specifically and all the P-level papers, rather I will say. With ACC, all P-level papers, they ask you to write the points which are related to the case. Unsupported points or unrelated points are not really welcomed by the examiner. Unsupported points are talking on points which do not have a proof or evidence in the question. They are unsupported. Try to write the points which are supported by an evidence of fact which is mentioned in the case. No irrelevant, no unsupported. Then show clear understanding of the underlying issues. That means commercial acumen. Try to demonstrate that you are understanding the exact problem. Try to demonstrate that you understand how a particular decision will impact a wider situation. Try to demonstrate that. How will the examiner get to know that you are understanding things until and unless you demonstrate that to the examiner? Then next, use different sources of information from various parts of the question or different exhibits. So here it is something which you may have confronted from a number of trainers. It's not that you have to use an information coming from one particular exhibit only to answer one particular part. No, it's not like that. Ideally, what is being looked up in SBL exam is if you are capable of linking the information from different exhibits to present a particular answer. This is what these examiners are looking for. If you can understand, are there any link between two exhibits? Can you link anybody's facts, anybody's claims from two exhibits? That is what the examiners are looking for. Then next, avoid repeating points already made. That's a very simple professional skill. Do not repeat your points. In other words, is not appreciated in SBL. Then prioritize to make points in a logical and progressive manner. We always say that the progression and the answer should flow in a correct structured way. The most important ones, point one, then next, important, next, then next, then next. So the most important one, when it is there on the first head of the answer, that absolutely covers up this point of professional skills. Then structure your answer in a professional manner, keeping a proper structure. For example, if you're writing a report, then giving an introduction, then before that a heading, then the introduction, then the main body, then the summary, then the conclusion, recommendations. These are some of the better structure ideas which you can give to your answer, right? Putting up the date, to whom it is being addressed. These are some of the points which give a proper structure to your answer. Obviously taking care of the sequencing on that. Then be clear, use facts from the case. Talk absolutely to the point. Be clear. Do not look confused while writing the answer. At one point, if you say one thing and at the other paragraph, you contradict yourself, that means you yourself are not clear with your own views, your own thoughts, or your own reading of the question. So be very clear in writing. The last one is express yourself persuasively. That means try to convince the other party with facts. Don't push. Don't dictate the decisions. It's better to convince them, and convincing becomes easy when you present it with some facts. Now let's just see a small example here. Now in front of your screen, what you can see is this is one of the questions snapshot coming from the specimen exam paper 2, which is there on the ACCA's website. I just wanted to show you this short screenshot so that you can understand how the requirements and how professionally you can write the answer. So let me just read the requirement first. You have been asked to prepare a briefing paper for the Railco Trust Board. First thing, briefing paper. That means the medium has been communicated to me. I need to write a briefing paper here. And if the answer is not in a briefing paper, professional skill marks are going to be lost here. To whom are you writing? You're writing to the Railco Trust Board. So remember, what they are looking for, only that information should be there in the briefing paper. Nothing else, nothing irrelevant, which identifies and explains the agency relationship of the party. What is being asked? Agency relationships of the parties involved in Railco, and discusses the rights and responsibilities of those parties. So ideally speaking, it's an 8-marker question and 2 requirements are here. Requirement number 1, you need to identify and explain the agency relationships of the parties. Apart from that, you need to discuss the rights and responsibilities of these parties as well. So 2 requirements. You can allocate 4 marks to each. That means 4 marks to identify and explain the agency relationship, 4 marks to give the rights, duties and responsibilities of these parties. But now, what all care has to be taken? Format of briefing note. To whom are you writing? What are they looking for? Giving exactly what is the requirement of the question. And this is where the question is asking you to demonstrate the communication skills. 2 marker. Right? So let's just see how will the examiner evaluate it. So this is a small table which is giving you how the marking will happen in this case. The candidate has not at all demonstrated the communication skills. He's getting a 0. Why? Because they have failed to present the required information in a clear, objective and unambiguous way. Could not answer it to the point. Could not write it clearly. And there was some confusion also. The answer is not communicated in an appropriate format, that is briefing paper. So if you miss out the format, professional skills are going to be lost. or tone. That means when you're writing to the Railco Trust Board, the tone has to be very carefully used. You have to write in a tone because you are writing to the senior most body of the organization. Keeping your tone well. Then not so well. Now 0.5 marks is allocated to a student who, what does he do? The candidate has demonstrated some basic communication skills in presenting an appropriate briefing paper format. So somehow you can say, if the format is there, clearly you get 0.5 marks. Some sort of communication skill has come up. Some relevant information is also contained in the answer, but some of the information is not relevant. That means something you wrote which was relevant, but something got there in the answer which was irrelevant or which was not clear as well. So that means if you write something which is not relevant, which is not clear, clearly being linked in the answer, then somehow you will lose marks here and you will fall in the second box. Then let's see what can be done for getting 1 mark here. The candidate has demonstrated good communication skills in the presentation of briefing paper. The candidate has presented most of the relevant points. That means the format of briefing paper is there. Most of the points are there. Tone is also okay. It has been made clearly also and concisely also. Then why not full marks? Because maybe the examiner is not feeling a wow factor reading the answer. So somehow you need to give that wow factor also. Now, what is that wow factor? Let's just have a look at that. The candidate has demonstrated excellent communication skills. The briefing paper was correctly structured. That means the structure of the briefing paper was absolutely to the point. Then all relevant points were covered. The points which were required by the trust board, they were all there in the answer. It was all correct in tone also. That means if it is a correct answer, most likely you will get 1 mark. But somehow if it is extremely impressive, then 2 marks are going to be there in your platter. It's going to be there with you. So this is how you actually need to look for getting professional skill marks. Be very careful in understanding the requirements of the question. When the question says evaluate, then evaluate. When the question says assess, then you need to actually dig deep into analyzing. When the question says use skepticism, that means you need to question the facts brought up by some of the people in the case. Probably there will be some people who will be very, very powerful. They will be claiming. Then you need to actually probe into it. Probe into the facts which they have presented. That is being skeptical. So try to understand what is the requirement of the question, what they are trying to ask you to do. I hope this video will make some points clear in your mind how to get professional skill marks in the SBL exam. Take care of yourself. Keep on studying, keep on growing. Thank you so much.